You want to be?
Alright everyone, we have ourselves update 39.1, which is basically sort of like a mini update to update 39, and with that we have two new things in particular that I want to talk about, specifically Caliban Prime and of course his new weapon. We're here in the Simulacrum, a Simulacrum that I didn't even know existed until today actually. You can get this from Quincy, by the way. It costs about 25,000 rep from the folks at 1999. So the way that I normally play with Caliban is pretty straightforward. Summon a bunch of Conculus, and you know, you just laser light show their ass, and that pretty much does the trick. While we're at it, we could also kind of do this kind of damage here. And notice how you're getting that extra lightning bolts from the weapon, actually, from Vadarya Prime. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. It sounds a little bit Russian. Either way, this rifle is just basically what if they took Autodon from Genshin Impact and they turned him into a weapon. And so we pretty much have some really interesting choices to play around with here. Of course, Caliban Prime, pretty much the same Caliban that we pretty much know all about. I did an entire video on the summons, so my favorite summon, I think, still is going to be his Ortholis Prime, although I now have a greater sort of appreciation for the summon list, mainly because it does mean that I can very, very quickly generate my shields, which can be very useful, especially in a pinch. So if we have a look at the build that I am using on Caliban Prime, it is actually going to be the dispensary build that I had on Caliban in the first place, but I have decided to lean even harder into it by swapping out a streamline for something like Natural Talent, because it, in my opinion, I feel like Caliban's fourth ability is way too slow, and so having something like Natural Talent is really good. Obviously, we can actually circumvent that by having some Archon shards, but I don't have enough Archon shards at the present moment in order to do Natural Talent without actually doing Natural Talent. So that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to sorting out maybe later on, and that might actually be a permanent fixture on Caliban Prime. And of course, when it comes to building the gun as well, which by the way, let me just remind you, is Autodon but a weapon. So apparently the way that this weapon works is that if you want to have more lightning strikes, you'd want to prioritize multi-shot, punch through, and for some inexplicable reason, blast damage. Well, specifically blast procs, I think. I'm not entirely sure how it works with blast itself, but apparently prioritizing blast does the trick, and I have noticed that by having blast on the weapon, yeah, I do seem to be getting more lightning strikes from it, so that's basically what I want to do. And I am running primary Deadhead, so that's why I don't have something like Serration on the build. And this is also why I'm not using something like primary Equity. Primary Equity, of course, being a very strong option for these kinds of precision type weapons, but considering that apparently multi-shot actually means that I have more opportunities to see the lightning come down from the sky, which is actually what I want to see, then I've decided to just not do that instead. This weapon already has like a ridiculously high amount of crit chance anyway, so you can kind of figure it out from there, and there's also Galv Scope anyway, so there's a lot of crit chance already in a build like this. Oh, by the way, there is a bug, maybe, allegedly, with certain Warframes, in particular Lavos. This bug has been posted on the subreddit. I would have thought that it would be one of the things that DE would fix as quickly as possible. Maybe it's not a bug. I don't know. But as of recording, i.e., you know, 9:30 at night on release day, yeah, it's it's still there. So, you know, feel free to play around with that if you want, but I don't really see it being a super duper viable thing in normal gameplay because, you know, enemies tend to die a lot faster than level 200 something Steel Path Corrupted Heavy Gunners that are still with their armor, you know? So that's a thing. But at the same time too, I also want to point out that this weapon can actually work pretty well, in my opinion, with the beloved Mag Prime. So, you know, when you have a lot of when you have a lot of punch through on this weapon through something like Prime Shred, and you were to use it with someone like Mag and her magnetized bubble, oh yeah, the bullet is just bouncing between everyone, and that is actually causing the lightning strikes to also come out as well. So that's actually pretty cool in my opinion. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. How do you feel about Caliban? How do you feel about the gun? Also, one thing to note, Caliban Prime as opposed to Caliban has a bit more shields and a bit more energy. Both of these stats, in my opinion, are probably going to be a bit more useful. The shields because you have the Summerless, for example, that can actually give you even more overshields, which can potentially be useful in tandem with something like Bolt Augmented. So, you know, you can play around with that. Otherwise, the energy, of course, is always useful, especially on a Warframe like this that I probably will be spamming abilities with and using dispensary on, so that's of course going to be pretty nice. Alright, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe action, maybe, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Look at them. They come to this place when they know they are not sure. Tenno used the keys, but they are mere trespassers. Only I, or know the true power of the point.
Yes, I did!
It is time. I will teach these trespassers the redemptive power of my galaxy. This death is temporary. My existence is forever. I cannot be destroyed.